Untitled, everybody. It's time to show some newly bought stuff in another vinyl and CD update. This Thursday, when it is extremely sunny outside and a great winter day. So today I have CDs, a few. I have 7 inches, I have full length, and believe it or not, I also have a book. So let's start with the book. It's not a book that may be all that unusual. To me it is, because I haven't seen it before in Swedish stores. I bought it at Red Cross secondhand here in Sundsvall for $1. And normally this isn't my kind of music, but they're interesting to read about it anyway. 100 best-selling albums of the 60s, and yes, I know there are also 70s, 80s and 90s, and most likely those are more in my style when it comes to records. And it is, of course, here some stuff that I most likely never would see in my collection. Jimi Hendrix, we have Doors, Stones, Led Zeppelin, Dylan, Beatles and so on. But interesting to read about it anyway, and it also contains some albums that I actually do have and very interesting to read about, like Chicago Transit Authority, like this great live album with the Temptations and Supremes, and a lot of stuff here also that I never heard of actually. And that might be interesting to find out about. Interesting reading in English. Going to CDs, only 3 of them this time. This one I was very happy about, especially since I found it only for $1. The Smiths' Queen is Dead on CD, really nice quality. From 1986. We have an album that I was pretty much disappointed at. You might have seen that I have been doing some discovery of different kind of jazz vocalists. I've been showing Lee Wiley, that was a success, actually, it's a really great one. There are some jazz singers that may be ordinary to some, but that I don't have had listened to all that much of. My favorites are, as you know, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Monica Zetterlund, and so on. But there are some that I tend to forget about completely, and one of those are Lena Horne. I bought this compilation released on Cheddar, that normally is a pretty much low budget label, but I got interested. The recordings here are from 36 to 41, and on the paper it sounds really good. She has the best bands: Charlie Barnett, Noble Sissle. We have Artie Shaw, Teddy Wilson and his orchestra. Sounds really great bands in the back, and that is on the positive side. On the negative side is that I know that Lena Horne is a very famous singer, and she has a very special voice, but I have hard time listening to her constant vibrato, and when she sounds like she's almost crying through the songs. I have hard time listening to her voice, and unfortunately that voice makes even the fantastic background bands to sound pretty much uninteresting. So this one will most likely not stay in the collection because of Lena Horne. A jazz singer that is far better though is Swedish Alice Babs. She had done both Swedish old Schlager, and she has also done jazz, and this is from her jazz period. These are early recordings, 1939 to 49. And of course, some of Sweden's most familiar jazz names are playing here also. And some really great. Listen to it. It will definitely stay in the collection. Moving on to 7-inch. Starting with some Marvin Gaye. Get up, get up, get up. Sexual Healing. On 7-inch. We have instrumental version on the B-side. Here's a classic that I, believe it or not, don't have. Phil Collins and In There Tonight. It was great to find. The Roof is Leaking at the B-side. For many years I thought this one was pretty much overplayed. I heard it way too much. Until I rediscovered Phil Collins a couple of years ago, as I said. I've got a new respect for Phil Collins when I heard Face Value and Hello I Must Be Going albums. And at the same time as I rediscovered Face Value and listened to that album, I also rediscovered and felt like In There Tonight got way better when I listened to it again. And now I think it's a fantastic, fantastic song. The arrangement, the production is glorious masterpiece. We have from the Rockpile fame, Billy Bremner. I haven't listened hardly at all to Billy Bremner other than this song. Rockpile isn't exactly my style, but this is from 1984, so it's something 80s style rock radio rock, and it is Shatterproof. And this song I heard on Swedish radio, a radio show back in the day, back in 1987, and found it pretty good actually, really good actually, and it's been growing even more since that. So we have a look at the car at the B-side. So it feels good to finally have it on 7-inch. Another interesting name is this, Will Powers, and the single Kissing with Confidence. Will Powers is the alias for celebrity photographer Lynn Goldsmith, who have been photographing celebrities. She's considered one of the first female rock and roll photographers, photographing cover arts for many rock artists. But she also had a musical career, a very short one. She did only one album, Dancing for Mental Health. What I know, only one album. That also actually is some kind of a comedy influenced album. A lot of satire with rich people and so on. And this single, Kissing with Confidence, is a track that early 80s pop style with a little, maybe a little synth disco in the edges. And I like this song overall, but there's one thing that I actually think is a little cheesy, and that is the so-called male speaking here, because it's not a male, it is actually Lynn Goldsmith pitching her voice deep, so she sounds like a man, and it doesn't fit all that much actually. It sounds pretty corny. I thought it would have been way better if she had done a duet or something like that instead. But it's a great song nonetheless, still a great melody, and she sings good when she sings on her own as herself. So, Chris Rea from 1984. A lot of 80s here, early 80s. This is I Don't Know What It Is, But I Love It. And we have Mr. Man at the B-side. Really great one. More from 1984 from Fleetwood Mac fame, Christine McVie, and Love Will Show Us How. And at the B-side we have The Challenge. Now a set of Swedish 80s singles. Susie's Orchestra, and even though she's called orchestra, it is not all that big orchestra. There are only 3 members, with the singer Susie Tapper in the front. Was pretty popular in the 80s with their melodic and cool 80s pop style with great lyrics. This is the singer from 1983, Dansa med mig, Dance with Me, and the B-side Red Romance. Going a little more rockier style with an artist that I have mentioned before, Don Hilander and Ray Montana Band. This is strange as a single, because this A side here contains 2 tracks, which is not normal. Normally it's one song that you should put the focus on, but here's 2 tracks on side A. Wild är den längtan, Wild is the longing, 1983, on the album Calypso, and also the song Stilla, pause or and we have Bella Notte at the B-side. We have also a band that I will come back to a whole lot more later on. Hanson de Wolf United. Hanson de Wolf United was a 3-man band that did some new wave style of pop with a whole lot of intelligent and maybe a little sometimes hard to understand lyrics, but I love the atmosphere in Hanson de Wolf United's songs. I like the singer Lorne de Wolf's voice, and I think they did some really great songs. This is one of them, Existence Maximum, and even though there's a lot of English in the titles, they are singing in Swedish. B-side, Beautiful Liar med din lugnande lögn, as you can hear, a little mix of English and Swedish. Beautiful Liar with your calming lie. More Swedish, but jazz this time. Very little jazz this time, actually. Swedish jazz with baritone saxophone player Lars Gullin and a quartet. Little other quartet with baritone sax, guitar, bass and drums. No piano. And he plays a couple of his most famous tracks, Beautiful, the Danish Dream and Be Careful. Lars Gullin, Rolf Berg, Georg Riedl and Robert Illman. Really nice old jazz EP. The recordings are from 1954. And some 70s singles. This is soul group LTD and the song called Never Get Enough of Your Love. I have an album with LTD, not though the Something to Love album, right, this one that this is from, but it is a great 70s soul. Make someone smile today at the B-side. And we have also a Chicago. Old Chicago singles isn't all that easy to find at thrift stores, so I'm very happy for this one. Beginnings and Saturday in the Park from 1973. And finally, when it comes to the singles, we have an Isaac Hayes. Moonlight Lovin', Ménage à Trois, from New Horizon album in 1977, and it's Heaven to Me at the B-side. So let's go to the full length, and we go back to the band I mentioned before, Hanson de Wolf United, and 2 albums that I managed to find with them. Jazz Box All Right from 1982, and still even though it's a more English title. They are singing in Swedish. And we have this one from 1985, Art Attack, not Heart Attack, but Art Attack. Also in Swedish. Listen to this one, and it's really, really great, especially the ballad Utanför tullarna, outside of the porch. Really nice and calming song with thoughtful lyrics. Going to some 70s. No, we take the jazz first, the jazz album first, and then we can have the 70s all the way out. One jazz album, Jimmy Dorsey, featuring Maynard Ferguson back in 1948, released on Anthology, Jazz Anthology. And normally Jimmy Dorsey is a traditional big band jazz. Really great, but it's a big band jazz. But here actually, and it's still big band jazz, but it is sounding a whole lot more bebop than I have ever heard Jimmy Dorsey sound like. So some clear bebop influences. I guess natural with Maynard Ferguson in the setting. But it is amazing album. Maybe some of the best tracks that I ever heard with Jimmy Dorsey. Really, really great. So if I've had a chance and want to check out great big band jazz from the 40s, Jimmy Dorsey from 1948 with Maynard Ferguson. Now we have 70s all the way. We have a compilation to start with. As you may have seen, I have compilations and a whole lot of albums with Motown. I have compilations and a whole lot of albums with Philadelphia Records. But I have very little with the third big label when it comes to 70s soul, Stax. Or as one half-drunk person called it at the Stampen bar where I was in Stockholm when I saw the cover band. A friend asked me, I heard of Motown and Philly, and he said, the half-drunk person said, where is the third label? Styx. No, Styx was something else. They have nothing to do with 70s soul. But this is a compilation with with Stax. Golden Hour of Stax hits. As I said, I don't have all that much with Stax, so it felt natural to actually get a compilation from Stax also. Get to know that label a bit better. And it starts really great with Isaac Hayes and theme from Shaft, a track that of course I've heard, but I don't have it on any physical format until now. So very happy for that. And we have staple singers. We have Mel and Tim, not Mel and Kim, but Mel and Tim. We have Albert King, Barcase, Dramatics, and we have Time is Tight with Booker T and MG. So a lot of 60s here, but still interesting to have. We have 70s soul from another place. This is released by United Artists back in 1976. A disco classic. This was a little bit of a risk taker. Of course I've heard the big hit, but I have the feeling that this could be good, but it could also be a pretty cheap production actually. Maxine Nightingale and Right Back Where We Started From. And it is actually really good. Maybe in this it could be a little more power in the production. But other than that, it's actually really good. Great melodies. She has a pretty good voice. And also, it tends sometimes to go into almost singer-songwriter style, which is actually, she also actually works for her. So this is actually a whole lot better than I thought would be. So actually recommended. Right Back Where We Started From, Maxine Nightingale. We have Art Garfunkel and Angel Clare. from 1973. And yes, Paul Simon is doing some playing here also on this album. We have some Brian Ferry, In Your Mind from 1977. And we have also, finally, an artist that I want to buy more with, but I'm a little bit careful. Anne Murray. This is Talk It Over in the Morning from 1971. And Anne Murray has is that kind of a singer that has a great voice, almost mature, sweet voice like Karen Carpenter. But the problem is that she also sings country. She mixes albums with one. She could do a country album, then she could do a singer-songwriter pop album. And I have a problem to know which actually is country and which is singer-songwriter style. And I want the second one. So I've been a little bit careful. But since this album contains You Got a Friend by Carole King, song by Jose Feliciano and so on, I had a feeling that this might be actually more of a singer-songwriter style. But it actually has some country influenced tracks, but they are actually not bad at all. This is a really good album actually. I'm not going to say that You've Got a Friend song is any way better than Carole King, of course not. Carole has a whole lot of power, a whole lot of spice, and a whole lot of energy in her version. But I don't think that Anne Murray does it bad in any way. It actually works. So it's actually overall a good album. So that was what I had to show today. Friday, 4 o'clock Swedish time. Those of you who have other time zones have to check it out and count where it is in your time. But then I will do an interview with Rachel Music Ma'am on her live stream as a part in her interview series where she interviews various vinyl community members. So if you want to, you can check out that by going to her channel. That I will leave a link to in the description. So until next time, I hope that every one of you have a real nice time. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, take care and so long.